and totally untrue. That is a Trump tweet from April 19th, 2019. That's the president saying that all the statements given by witnesses in the investigation, all those statements are untrue. Mr. Lewandowski, you were a witness in the investigation. You sat for interviews with the special counsel as part of the federal investigation. Isn't that correct?
I did sit, yes.
And the special counsel's report includes statements that you made to the special counsel during the federal investigation. Did you lie at any point to the special counsel during those interviews?
Not to the best of my recollection, no.
So your statements to the special counsel in the Mueller report, those are not, quote, fabricated and totally untrue. You didn't lie to the special counsel, did you, Mr. Lewandowski?
Not to the best of my recollection, no.
So the president is wrong that the report is fabricated and totally untrue. That's just the president trying to discredit all of the witnesses who said that he obstructed justice. Isn't that correct, Mr. Lewandowski?
That's a question for the president.
Well, which is it? I mean, did you lie, Mr. Lewandowski, or is the president wrong when he says that all of the statements in the report are fabricated?
I believe it says certain people. Statements made about me by certain people. It doesn't say all, unless I'm misreading it.
Mr. Lewandowski, did you lie to the president, and is the president correct that everything in the report is fabricated?
I won't comment on private conversations, but I don't appreciate the insinuation that I lied about anything. And I've answered it multiple times. I've answered your question multiple times about my truthfulness to the committee and the special counsel's office.
And I appreciate that, Mr. Lewandowski. But
I have not, to the best of my knowledge, lied to the special counsel.
Mr. Lewandowski, this is my time. You are not yet in the Senate. You are a witness before the Judiciary Committee. Please act like it. This is my time. I control it. The president also said, and please put up this slide, watch out for the people that take so-called notes when the notes never existed until needed. Referring to the Mueller report, referencing people taking notes of meetings with the president, notes that documented the president's obstruction. Mr. Lewandowski, you had notes from your meeting with the president. You've testified to that before us, correct?
Yes.
You were dictated those notes by the president, correct?
I believe that's in the report.
And you told the special counsel the president's dictated a message to you, and you said, write this down. This is volume 290, page 91. And you gave those notes to the special counsel, correct?
I can't speak to the way the special counsel has conducted their investigation or what information they have.
Did you give the notes to the special counsel? This is not about how the special counsel conducted its investigation.
That's a
it's
question
about whether you gave the notes to the special counsel.
That's a question for Special Counsel Mueller.
Those were your notes, Mr. Lewandowski. They were in your safe. They were dictated to you and written down by you. Did you give them to the special counsel?
I comply with all legal and lawful requests of the special counsel.
Obviously, you are once again obstructing our investigation by refusing to answer questions that...
I've just answered your question. I said I comply with all requests by the special counsel.
So you gave the notes to the special counsel?
I've asked and answered your question.
Did you make up that the president told you to write down that note, Mr. Lewandowski?
I can't speak to private conversation I might not have had with the President of the United States.
Did you lie about the president telling you to write down the note? That's not a private conversation.
I believe what is in the report is an accurate description.
Okay, so to be clear, you also gave the special counsel notes from your meeting with the president that are not fabricated and totally untrue as per the president's tweet. So when the president said all those notes never existed until needed, that was his quote, that's just another instance of the president trying to discredit anyone who actually tried to document his misconduct. Now the president is going further, isn't he? You've said previously that you have nothing to hide and that you would answer all questions. Here's what you said. Can I play that clip?
I never asked for presidential immunity whatsoever. Chris, I sat there for 12 hours, and before I left, after the last 4 hours, I said, I will sit here for another 4 hours to answer every single one of your questions to the House Intelligence Committee. I said, before we leave today, I want to be very clear. I will sit and answer every one of your questions. There's no reason to subpoena me because I'm willing to volunteer if they want to ask me questions. I'll be happy to answer their questions because I have nothing to hide.
It's interesting, Mr. Lewandowski, because obviously the president does have something to hide because the White House is directing you not to answer the questions in front of the Judiciary Committee. And that is a tremendously shameful thing, Mr. Lewandowski. The American people deserve to know the truth, and I think they deserve to have you answer our questions.
Time of the gentlelady has expired. The gentleman from Florida.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The American people know the truth if they've read the Mueller report and have come to their own conclusions. You and the Trump campaign fully cooperated with the Mueller investigation. Is that correct?
I believe so, yes.
And multiple times that you've been asked to testify voluntarily before numerous different congressional committees, you've complied in that request, even voluntarily, not even needing to be subpoenaed.
That's right, to the best of my recollection, yes.
And after 22 months, 18 lawyers, 500 subpoenas, 500 search warrants, the Mueller report concluded that there was no evidence that the Trump campaign colluded with Russia. Is that correct?
I haven't read the report, but I believe that's the final conclusion.
So now that we've established that the Mueller report itself doesn't find that there's any collusion between the Trump campaign and Russia, this whole contention about the president firing or not firing or directing people to fire, is it your understanding, and you may not be able to answer this because it's outside the scope, but is it your understanding in Article 2 of the Constitution that the president could fire the Attorney General without cause for any reason whatsoever?
Let me preface it by saying I'm not an attorney, but it's my understanding that the president has broad authority over members who serve in the executive branch and has broad latitude to hire and fire at his discretion. And
also under that constitutional authority obligated to him under Article 2, he could fire the FBI director without reason, for any reason whatsoever at any time.
Again, I'm not an attorney, but that could be a very realistic interpretation of the Article 2 powers that are provided to the President of the Constitution, yes.
And he could have also had Mr. Mueller fired during the course of the investigation if he wanted to under his powers under Article 2.
Again, I think that would be a question for the Attorney General or White House counsel, but I believe that would be his prerogative if he so chose, yes.
So given all that, he did not choose to exercise any of that authority. In fact, he allowed for the campaign and members like yourselves to coordinate with them, cooperate with them, and until now that we've gone through a 22-month investigation where the American people have been sold a lie of Russian collusion, now we're going to just try to rehash this narrative amongst the American people, despite the fact that it has been investigated by investigators, lawyers, FBI agents for 22 months.